Hello friends and welcome back to the channel where today I want to talk about energy, which is a topic that I didn't think we would need to be bringing up and discussing in 2025, and yet here we are. So more specifically, I want to talk about how it seems like Kabam is intentionally shifting us into what I have kind of started calling the energy meta. So I want to talk about like the reasons for this shift. And let's start off with energy costs. I've got some notes here up on the screen, so if you see me like glancing back and forth, that's why. So energy cost, right? Like over the past several months, it seems like Kabam has been slowly increasing the costs for playing this game daily. We have solo raids now, and those come with objectives that you want to be doing every day. We have, various new daily quests, and the energy requirements for those have been increased. And then, of course, we have the brand new adaptive EQ. What we're looking at here is how much energy is necessary over the course of a 30-day period, and I've included all the content that I just mentioned, right? It's got the solo raids listed, we've got all the new daily quests. I'm assuming, by the way, that you're only doing one difficulty of that Catalyst quest. I think there's like 5 or 6 difficulties. And then I've also included the classic and the elder versions of the new EQ. In a given month, a 30-day period, you're looking at over 5,100 energy required. And now, the numbers that I have highlighted in yellow are really only kind of there for context. The theoretical max is the amount of energy you could possibly earn in a 24-hour period if you are literally attentive to the game for 24 hours straight. Like if you're logging in, you're making sure the energy never caps out, constantly letting the timer run, you can max out at 7,200 energy. And then the value below it is assuming that you allow yourself 8 hours of sleep and are attentive to the game for the other 16 hours. And, I fully understand neither of these numbers are realistic, right? I'm including them here to kind of show you how ridiculous these costs are for even an unrealistically dedicated player, right? If you are playing the game for 16 hours a day every day, you still will not possibly earn enough energy over the course of that day to do everything that you need to do in a 30-day period. It's wild. Now, you'll also notice in here that I haven't included Battlegrounds, which a lot of players who aren't me spend energy on, a lot of energy on, in fact. And if you're a player like that, your costs over the course of a given month are going up even more, right? And, many months, we have additional costs that aren't listed here either. We have story content like, Act 9.3 just came out. We have Everest content that comes out every so often. The seasonal Everest fights cost energy just to go in and do them. And, who knows what other content or modes are coming down the line that will also require energy. And I think that the end result here is that more so than at perhaps any other point in the game's history, that energy is now being used as a sessioning tool. Before, you had more or less total freedom to kind of log in, play what you wanted, play when you wanted, but now you need to log in multiple times a day to burn energy or spend units on energy refills. And just feels like you have way less agency over what you want to do in the game and when. And if you aren't logging in, all the time to use your energy, then you are going to end up having to pick between, okay, I can do EQ today, but that means I can't do the daily quest, which means I miss out on the end of week daily quests, and it just kind of like spirals from there. Now, having the players need to choose between the modes that they want to play is a really poor user experience. So I mentioned energy refills a minute ago, and I kind of want to move on. That's like the second big item on my list, right? So energy refills were a resource that we were previously getting multiple times a week via those old Alliance events, right? And when Kabam consolidated all of those old Alliance events into the Alliance Weekly Super event, all of those refills like mysteriously disappeared, right? So in basic economic terms, demand is up, but supply is way down. And let's talk about that supply here. So it's important to note that energy is a resource in this game, and it's the player's responsibility to manage, just like a player manages their catalyst, manages their ISO, whatever else. But the big problem here is that for me, and probably for a lot of other people, energy hasn't been a limiting resource in a long time. And it's kind of like gold. Like I've got like 500 million gold or something like that. I've hoarded it over years of playing this game, and as a result, for me, gold will likely never be a resource that I ever have to worry about ever again. It's essentially infinite for me. And for the last several years, I think that energy has kind of been in the same category. More often than not, it's felt like we've had almost infinite energy, and I think that's where the friction is happening here, right? Resources are not meant to be infinite. Kabam has tried to claw back energy in particular these last few months, and I think that's why it feels so bad. Like the pendulum has swung so far back from one side where, just a couple months ago, near infinite energy, now we've swung all the way back to the other side where it's like costs are up, quests are up, supply for energy is down, and I feel like it's just given us whiplash, and it feels so bad as a player. So then I want to get to this post here that Mike put up over the weekend. I was away for the weekend, so I didn't really get a chance to read through this in too much detail until this morning. He's outlining a few changes that the team is going to make following a lot of complaints about energy stuff. And I want to address some of the things that he talks about here in particular. So for starters, he says down here that the solo raid's energy cost is going to be reduced to 1 energy per tile. Now, over the course of a month, that's going to save you about 660 energy. More if you let the objectives stack up and then knock multiple objectives out in a single run. That's usually what I do, because the cost right now is insane. Now, I think this is a mostly good move. Like, on one hand, solo raids is a practice mode, and it is specifically designed for you, the player, to experiment with raids matchups, and thus you could argue that 1 energy is even too much for a practice mode and that should be free. And if you were to argue that, I would definitely agree with you. But I think realistically, there's no way in hell they're ever going to allow people to practice anything in this game for free. And if you need evidence of that, remember when they upped the cost of the seasonal Everest fights because too many people were restarting the quests for free and just practicing on the fights endlessly until they got a good run. So kind of the same deal here. I think this should be free because it is a practice mode. I don't think that there is any chance they're going to lower it from 1 to 0. So this feels like we have to kind of take what we can get type thing. So the next thing he talks about in here is he's going to, they are going to remove the energy refills from the 4-hour crystals and put 2 big refills back per week into the super event. And I think you could probably fall on either side of the fence when it comes to this change. And I think your opinion of this change is going to depend entirely on how you use these 4-hour crystals. So for me personally, I almost never open them like ever. I don't open them for energy. I will sometimes open them like before doing runs of like large Everest content like Necropolis, so every couple years, just to top up on potions when I know that I'm going to be using them. But really that's it. So for me personally, this is probably going to feel like a net increase in energy, even though I think that the math says otherwise, right? Even though the thousands of crystals that I have contain way more energy than the 2 per week that they're going to be getting, putting back in the event going forward. I feel like I was never actually going to realize those refills, and so this feels okay to me. Now, if you are a person who is opening these crystals daily or weekly, this change is going to feel super bad for you, and there is really just no way around it. It's going to feel like a net loss for you, and that really sucks. Now, finally, we're going to get to this last change here, which is that the team plans on deprecating Elder's Marks in Battlegrounds starting in November, and the cost of doing a BG's match is going to decrease to 10 energy per match. And then there's a promise here of adding an undisclosed number of energy refills back into the economy. No number listed here. No, how are we going to get these? Are we going to have to be earning them? Are we going to get them for free? No details here. And I want to say that I hate this change. I hate everything about this. Not only for me, but for the players out there who play Battlegrounds way more than me. If you followed my channel for any decent amount of time, you know that I really don't like Battlegrounds, and for a variety of reasons, it is my least favorite mode in the game. I play it as little as possible. You know, I push through the VT every season. I do one GC match for the ranked rewards, and then I immediately quit. I cannot be bothered to do any more than that. But for me, I can do all of that without spending any energy. The Elder's Marks that I earn every season are more than enough to cover me for the following season. And I may dislike Battlegrounds a lot, but playing through the victory track really comes at no cost to me, which is a trade-off that I can accept. I can stomach a mode that I don't like for rewards that, you know, I could ultimately live without if I wanted to, because there's really no cost for me in doing it. But going forward, not only am I going to have to spend energy to play a mode that I don't like, but now, again, I talked about this earlier, I'm going to have to choose whether to spend energy doing my daily quests or queuing up in Battlegrounds. And I'm going to have to log in more frequently to make that choice, you know, every day. You know, normally when I play Battlegrounds, I play my 3 matches whenever the objectives come up every other day or whatever it is. I do my objectives, and then I don't worry about Battlegrounds again until those objectives come back. But now I feel like the game is kind of forcing me to play on its terms rather than play on my terms, where I'm going to have to log in and do Battlegrounds when there is really no effective objective or reward there for me. And that really sucks. And I just I hate this change so much. Like, I have a lot of friends and alliance mates who really like this mode, and you know, they push deep into the Gladiator circuit every season. And I just feel really bad for them. Like, BGs is not a mode where you will get a guaranteed return for the energy that you invest into it. Like in a quest, you spend an energy refill and you complete the quest, you explore the quest, and you get, you know, the listed rewards for that quest. But in Battlegrounds, you could spend an energy refill, and at 10 energy per match, you could lose 7 matches in a row and get nothing. And not only get nothing, you could end up inadvertently lowering your total rewards for the end of the season as a result. And I just I expect that this change in particular is going to result in a significant decrease in the number of players who bother with Battlegrounds going forward. And I think that the number of players who play Battlegrounds is way lower than most people think, because, you know, your thoughts, what you see from Battlegrounds is mostly limited to, you know, the big popular players who play it, and they make it seem like it's a way more popular mode than it is. I don't think that Battlegrounds is as popular as people think it is. And I think going forward, it's even going to be less popular than it is now. You know, it's already very difficult to compete in Battlegrounds without having like a well-developed roster. And now it just feels like they're adding yet another unnecessary cost on top of the cost of already having that kind of roster. And it sucks. Like, I don't think that there is any realistic amount of energy refills that they can promise to add to the economy that will make up for how bad this change is going to feel for even a casual Battlegrounds player like myself. I really don't know what a fair solution is. Like, you know, I think that when it comes to all the stuff I've talked about here, this is energy meta, you know, cost up, supply down, I think that Kabam needs to accept that for the vast majority of players, all of the changes that they're making to energy right now are going to be a net negative experience for them. Now, for me, I don't fall into the camp where I think that energy should continue to be effectively unlimited. And I recognize that, you know, for the past, I don't know, year or two, whatever it was, that, you know, when I constantly have like 20 or 30 or 40 energy refills in my overflow, that's effectively what it is. It's effectively unlimited energy. I feel like that needs to be a resource that a player needs to pay attention to a little bit. But I strongly believe that a player should be able to do what they need to do in the game over the course of a day on their terms without needing to resort to buying refills. And I realize that the word need there in that sentence is doing a lot of work. But, lately Kabam and the game are kind of telling us that we need to be doing a lot more than we are doing now. Log in more, do your daily quests, log in more, play Battlegrounds, spend your energy because it's too expensive to not use your energy. It's just demand for energy is gonna continue to go up, and supply is going to continue to be limited, and this is just going to result in such a very poor user experience. It feels really bad. And like, if this post is any indication, the energy problem is only going to get worse from here, and it doesn't really seem to me like the team has any substantial solutions to offer us. They're just kind of throwing out a couple of band-aids to walk back a few of the changes that they've made lately. Like, reducing the Solar Raid's energy cost to 1 per tile, I think, is good. It should have never been 3 in the first place. Moving energy refills out of the 4-hour crystals may or may not be a good change for you depending on how you use those crystals. Adding 2 refills per week back into the weekly super event is good, but it is still not as good as it was before. And, so we're getting, an energy cost reduction here. We're getting energy supply increase here. But then this Battlegrounds change, it sucks. Like, they are drastically increasing the cost of playing Battlegrounds for every single player. This is terrible. I hate this change a lot. I don't know that I have even more to say about it. It's awful. So, yeah, I mean, there's a, stay tuned for a dev diary in the coming weeks. I mean, that'll probably explain where they're coming from, but I don't know that it'll offer any, like, additional solutions. Just, like, I don't know, energy is just a mess right now, and, like, I think that's pretty much all I had to say. I don't want to, like, turn this into, like, an unhinged rant or anything. Normally I try and stay positive about this stuff, and when I'm critical, I try and offer, solutions. But I gotta be honest here, like, this energy stuff feels like a huge mess, and it feels like it's only gonna get worse. Like I said, the pendulum swinging so far back from where we were a couple months ago. Like, I don't even know what that, like, the middle of the pendulum, like the balance part is. I have no idea what that looks like, but I know that we are not close to it right now. So let me know your thoughts on the energy meta in the comments below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. See you next time.